Okay, so the other day I started doing this heads, tails simulation-y thing with you. Let's just look at it again. So this number here is a 2, and a 2 means heads. So there's another 2, so, tails. Let's just recalculate the whole thing. So a 2 is tails and a 1 is heads. So you can see how we've got the 1, 1 is the heads, heads. So whenever you get 1, 1, heads, heads, then the heads, heads column gets a 1, saying, yes, I've got 2 heads in a row. So in this particular one, we've got 3, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. So you'll see here, counting it as we go, we've got 3 heads. Okay? So this is I've got 1 head, head. I've got 2 heads out of 8, and I've got 3 heads out of 11. So this percentage here is saying how many heads have I got. So I'm taking this number and I'm dividing by the number of trials. So this is like a successful trial. So I've had 1 successful trial out of 2, I've got a 50% percentage. I've got 1 successful trial out of 3 trials, I have 33%. See what's happening? Yeah? 1 out of 4, 25%, 1 out of 5, 20%, 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7. 2 out of 8, 25%. Hands up if that makes sense. Yeah. Good? So this graph here, actually on the scale down here is the trial number. And you can see that the trials are going right up to 1,500 trials. 1,500 trials. So you can see when I hit any button, the whole thing is recalculated. So what I want you to look at is this graph here. And this one here is the, after how many trials? 12,000. Sorry, there were 12,168 trials. We have got, you can see here, 3,025 double heads or 3,080 double heads. I'm doing 12,000 trials by the push of a button. 3,122 heads. Watch the percentage with 12,000 trials. Okay. The percentage 25, 26, 25, 25, 26, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25. See how stable that is? Really stable. Does that make sense? Yep. That if you do 12,000 trials, it's quite stable. Whereas if you look at this percentage here, after 10 trials, it's 40%, 30%, 30%, 20%, 0%, 30%, 60%, 30%, 10%. So you can see when you're only doing 10 trials, you've got huge variation on your percentage of successful outcomes, your number of double heads. Yeah? Whereas when you're doing 12,000 trials, it's pretty stable. Now my graph here has actually got the trial numbers down here, so it's not actually graphing everything, is it? We'll re-graph that in a minute. But if we just take note of the start bit, so you can see how, okay, that's moved down because the scale's changed because it started off at 100% here and stayed at 100%. Do you see? Different start points, scale changed, wildly different, then it ends up being quite constant and being at around that 25%. Scales changed because this time it started at 0 and then the most it ever got was up to 30 whatever percent. Okay, so you start off with all this variation and then you end up quite constant. Watching again, this time we started at the 0%, all over the place. Okay, so let's actually look at it just for the first 10 trials if we were to graph that. So if I insert a scatter graph, cancel. I need to do that a bit better. I need to select that column and insert the scatter graph. we go. And so, oh, I see that was 10,000. That one there, for some reason, doesn't have it as much. So let's have a look at this graph. Can you see it moving around as well? The scale changes, but the end result is still at the 25%. Can you see the 25% moves because of where it starts? The scale changes. Is that making sense? So you've got that huge variation at the start. So I'm just going to, just for ease of my grabbing of the data, I'm actually just going to go insert here, and I'm going to make that the trial number here. Okay, so I'll pop the trial there, and let's just have a look at those first 12 trials. So if I grab that and insert, scatter, go. Let's now recalculate. Can you see those first trials, how variable they are? Does that make sense? Wild variation at the start. Now we're going to, yes, be quiet. We're going to have a look down to, how many do you want to look at? Just up to 100? Yeah. So let's just go to 100, and we'll it is a nice number. We like that. And insert our scatter plot, and let's have a look at that scatter. Notice it's not always ending on 25%, is it? No. But it's still, you can see that pattern of wild variability and becoming that more constant. I'm seeing the one on the right here that's up to 1500 is way more constant again. Okay, now who's learned something from that? Hands up. 3 people? 5 people?
Kind of.
6? Kind of. Can you...
I'll watch over the video again.
Okay. Would anyone like to paraphrase what we've just learnt?
No.
What was the point of this video? If you're doing a simulation, how many trials should you do to be accurate? The more the better. If you're only doing 10 trials, is it accurate? Not particularly. No. So I guess my thing is, whenever you're doing simulations, oh, I was just like, I got, you're going down here, and I just got tired and I stopped. See? I could have kept going. Oh, yeah, I could have. I can just grab that, and I can just... Oh, Control Alt. What will Control Alt down do? I was going like this, and I got tired. So you can see, guys, come on. I am recording. So now that I've got like 16,000 trials, I mean, I'm getting a 26%. I'm just constantly recalculating. But mostly I'm getting 25%, right? It's pretty stable, or 24. So I've only got plus or minus a percentage, and most of the time I'm just getting 25%. You can see that all recalculating, okay? So it's pretty good. What's happened is my trial represents the theoretical probability, because heads is 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. 25% is 1/4. But when you only do a few trials, you can see here, if you did 14 trials, you can get 38%, 40%. even at we 20 trials here, 40%. That doesn't really represent the theoretical probability. 35, 15, 20, 25, 20, 25, 25, 20, 20, 25, 40, 45, 35. So that's way more variable. Okay? Say yes if you think you got the concept.
Yeah.
2 people, great. Done. Done my